And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. Mimic or narcissist word salad. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. How has your weekend been? Was it tickety-boo or not so pucker? Perhaps you felt under threat in some way. Maybe someone was saying bad things about you. Perhaps you were walking along in the dark when some strange mysterious figure, no, not me, came walking behind you. That you felt ill at ease. Perhaps someone was aggressive towards you. Perhaps they threatened to knock your teeth down your throat. Whatever it might have been, did you go running to a bookshop to seek safety? After all, there's no point going to the police these days. They're too busy telling people off for talking about rioting. Instead, you're going to be far better protected if you get yourself to a local outlet of Barnes & Noble or Waterstones, or, if you can find it, W.H. Smith. Yes, you may be aware that the bookstore is the safe space these days. That getting the protection of the police or the armed forces, that shouldn't be your go-to response. Don't bother installing a panic room, it's an unnecessary expense. You could just go running into your own library or hot-foot it down the street until you get to your local bookstore. Bookstores are where it's at, because they are apparently safe spaces. We were memorably told this by this one's wife as she engaged in spouting some word salad when she made an appearance at Godmother's bookstore just recently, demonstrating how far she's fallen as she has to turn up at the opening of a bookstore. And in the course of not talking about literature or literary figures or great books that she's read, she once again had to make it all about her and spout some revision of history by relating to apparently in 2019 when she was in New York that she didn't feel safe, so she found a bookstore because that made her feel safe, and thus you could feel safe in the same bookstore or in another bookstore in the Santa Barbara area. Yeah, right. Thanks for that load of nonsense. But this is what this one's wife came out with. And as a narcissist, you know that the reason that she spouted that drivel was to assert control over her audience in an attempt to impress them and make it seem like she was saying something meaningful. In fact, it was just more of her beige word salad and a revision of history. It didn't make any sense, and it most likely was made up. But interestingly, somebody else has been capitalizing on the concept of a bookstore being a safe space. Who knew? Maybe we're all missing the point here, and that actually these people are entirely correct, that bookstores are safe spaces, that they are the places that you should go to, and we're in the wrong. But who has been doing this? Well, it's Kamala Harris. In a recent address that's been reported by Red State, which of course is never going to be particularly supportive of her, she spoke to around 24 people at a Johnstown bookstore on safe spaces. Yes. Now, this report is dated September the 14th, so a couple of days ago, and it appears that the address was around that time, which is after this one's wife. But Kamala Harris stated, "You've created a space that is a safe space, where people are welcome and know that they're encouraged to be with each other and feel a sense of belonging. And in the midst of so many forces that are trying to make people feel alone or divide us, I think it's really important that we are intentional about creating a safe space." Okay. So the fact is that Kamala Harris is telling you that a bookstore is a safe space, just like this one's wife. Now, unless I'm mistaken, this one's wife came up with the suggestion that a bookstore was a safe space first. So, are we seeing a narcissist mimic another narcissist? Is that what's going on here? Is that what's occurring? Could that happen? Well, of course it could. As you know, the narcissist mimics because in many instances, the narcissist has not had an authentic experience of their own, so through character trait acquisition, they utilize the experience, the characteristics, the memory of other people and pass it off as their own for the purpose of asserting control over other people, managing their facade where applicable, and drawing fuel from them. Thus, for example, your friend has just come back from Rome. They tell you about their visit to the Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, the Colosseum, to the Spanish Steps, and a narcissist was listening. And the narcissist then goes off and talks to somebody else, maybe their friends, and talks about how they've just returned from Rome and that they had their photograph taken on the Spanish Steps and they went to the Colosseum and were surprised to find that it was smaller than they thought it would be, etc., etc. They have taken the experience of the other person, they've passed it off as their own. A narcissist can easily do that in relation to the experiences of another narcissist. As you know from my brilliant video, The Truth, the Half-Truth and Nowhere Near the Truth, there are instances where the narcissist will use the truth as you understand it to be. So, for example, a narcissist might actually be recalling something which actually did occur, and another narcissist then takes it for themselves. Equally applicable is where a narcissist revises history and invents something, and another narcissist takes it. So, is it the case here that Kamala Harris has heard or read what this one's wife stated about bookstores and thought, do you know what? That's a really good explanation. I'm going to use that myself. So that when I'm addressing people in a cafe bookstore, I can talk about safe spaces and feeling safe there. The reality of it is, no. Although it is feasible that it could be character trait acquisition and mimicry, because narcissists engage in lots of mimicry, on this occasion I would suggest that it isn't the case of Kamala Harris mimicking this one's wife. Not because she would look at this one's wife necessarily and think, why on earth would I want to repeat something that clown has come out with? More likely, she probably wasn't aware of what this one's wife had to say. And what you've actually witnessed is the similarity of behaviour of two narcissists in relation to their way that they assert control over an audience. Many people talk about it's astonishing how narcissists can be so similar, although there are different types of narcissist, but how similar narcissists are with regard to their behaviours. It's as if there is a narcissist playbook that they've all read, which enables them to behave in the way that they do. And if you want to understand why narcissists behave so similarly, please watch my video, Why Do Narcissists Seem to Operate from the Same Playbook? It'll open your eyes. What we have here isn't, to my mind, an instance of one narcissist copying another, but rather them both coming out with similar behaviours because their narcissism is deemed that in order to assert control over the listeners, over those who are in attendance, in order to manage their facades, because they're both facade management wielding narcissists, in order to draw fuel from them, their narcissism has gone to the same place in talking about safe spaces. It's almost as if safe spaces is the thought du jour, that it is trendy to talk about safe spaces. And the narcissism has utilised that. And thus, rather than one copy the other, they simply have both come up with it around the same time in order to pursue the prime aims. And it's an interesting example of how two different narcissists on different occasions come out with similar narcissistic word salad. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.